Whitfield County 911, what's the address to your emergency?
Just moments earlier, that girl had been living an ordinary night. This is 26-year-old Carolina Vargas, an Uber driver working tirelessly to make ends meet, one ride at a time. Hours before this call, she had been behind the wheel doing what seemed like an ordinary shift. Nothing about her night suggested the horror that was about to unfold.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Moments later, emergency services would arrive at a scene so disturbing that even seasoned professionals struggled to process it.
Tragedy has struck a 26-year-old Uber driver named Carolina Vargas.
A young woman, covered in blood, lying motionless on a dark Georgia roadway.
It was just like watching a movie. It was just unreal.
No witnesses, no explanation, just questions, terrifying ones. What happened to her, and how did an ordinary Uber trip end here? In the spring of 2020, a 26-year-old Carolina Vargas, originally from Costa Rica, was building her life in Nashville, Tennessee. She had come a long way from her childhood years in Buenos Aires, Punta Arenas, Costa Rica, where she grew up surrounded by family in a close-knit, modest community. Her bright blonde hair set her apart in a place where such features were uncommon, but it was her infectious personality that truly made her memorable. Her family remembered Carolina as a cheerful girl, full of ambition.
I've been knowing Carolina since we were little. We were first cousins. We always lived close by and we've been very close. Like, I would consider her my best friend, or my elder sister.
They spent their childhood together, playing with Barbies and dreaming of bright futures. In 2007, when Carolina was 13, she, her mother, brother, and their extended family relocated to Nashville, bringing with them their hopes for a better future.
I love Nashville over here because it's similar a little bit with my country. And I feel that they can grow over here.
Carolina adapted quickly to her new life, embodying the spirit of an American teenager. She embraced her freedom, spent time with family and friends, and, like many teens, became inseparable from her phone. Carolina and her cousin messaged each other every day, sharing jokes, memes, and little moments from their lives. Life seemed to unfold naturally for the family, with Carolina deeply immersed in the seemingly predictable rhythm of her days. Yet, behind this ordinary ease, an unexpected turn was just around the corner. In 2019, Carolina entered a period of major change. At 25, she ended her 5-year live-in relationship and began rebuilding her life. Newly single, she spent more time going out with her cousin Natalia, but both women stayed alert and cautious whenever they went to clubs. They shared their plans with each other, making sure someone always knew where the other was. On September 19th, the cousins experienced a moment that left them uneasy. While out at a Latin club, 2 men approached them and refused to leave even after it became clear the women weren't interested. Carolina and Natalia moved to the dance floor to shake them off, and eventually managed to do so, but later discovered the same men lingering outside, waiting.
So we felt uncomfortable, and we just literally felt like, can you leave us alone? But they were following us.
As the cousins walked to their car, the men followed, forcing them to seek help from a nearby group of people who agreed to walk them safely to the parking lot. Only then did the men finally leave. The experience unsettled both women. It became another reminder of the vulnerability they faced, and Carolina mentioned that she carried, or planned to buy, pepper spray for protection. By October, Carolina decided to move in with her brother and sister-in-law so she could save money while searching for a new career path. She explored different possibilities, considering sales roles that would allow her to control her own schedule. Eventually, she turned to Uber, appreciating the flexibility and independence the work provided.
So she started working with Uber. It was just convenient for her, the freedom of, the times where she could work.
Her family knew she took the job seriously. She kept her car clean, offered water to passengers, and focused on providing a good experience. Even so, the idea of driving strangers raised concerns. Her mother frequently reminded her to stay alert, aware of the risks women often faced. Although rideshare trips were generally considered safe, the family remained cautious.
We said, stranger danger, please be careful. As a woman, we never turn off the alarms because we are women.
They spoke about the importance of being vigilant, but none of them imagined how drastically life could change. By March 2020, only months after Carolina Vargas began working as an Uber driver, COVID lockdowns brought her income to a standstill. For weeks, she earned nothing, and by May, she was desperate to pay her share of rent at her brother's home. Determined to make ends meet, she accepted any driving work she could find. Her family believed Uber was safe if the rules were followed, and Carolina typically worked during the day or in the late afternoons. On May 5th, after spending the day driving around Nashville, she dropped a customer at a rental car company. Moments later, the man ran back with an offer, $300 in cash for a private trip to Cleveland, Tennessee, more than 2 hours away near the Georgia border. Carolina texted her mother, excited at the opportunity, and completed the off-app trip. That evening, she returned home with the cash. Her sister-in-law learned the customer was an older commercial truck driver whose 18-wheeler had broken down. He proposed another off-app payment of $300 if she would pick him up again once the truck was repaired and bring him back to Nashville.
She thought, well, I already gave him a ride. She felt comfortable with him. Why not? And so she agreed.
Her family reminded her to stay careful, but she seemed relieved, finally able to cover the bills she had been worrying about. 2 days later, on Thursday, May 7th, Carolina finally received the message she had been waiting for. The man told her his truck would be ready for pickup in Nashville the next day, and that he would contact her when he needed the ride. On May 8th at 2:32 p.m., security cameras at a Hampton Inn in Cleveland, Tennessee recorded Carolina's black SUV pulling up to collect a man carrying several bags. Minutes later, she sent her mother a photo of him with the note, "This is the guy I'm giving a ride." 10 minutes after arriving, her SUV left the hotel with the man inside. Back home, her sister-in-law Adriana noticed Carolina's car was gone and sent her a message.
Estaba lloviznando y cuando yo llegué a la casa, el carro de Caro no estaba. Entonces yo le texteé, pero ella no me respondió.
Carolina rarely ignored family, and Adriana was unsettled by how disorganized her room looked, as if she had left in a hurry. Carolina's mother, Isabel, unaware of these worries, then received a call she would never forget. Carolina crying, barely able to speak.
I couldn't understand what she said. And I said, Carolina, where are you? And she said, Mom, but I couldn't hear the voice from her mouth.
Isabel urged her to call 911, but the line suddenly went silent. At 3:48 p.m., an unintelligible 911 call reached the Whitfield County Emergency Center.
Whitfield County 911, what's the address to your emergency? Ma'am, can you hear me?
Moments later, a second call came from the same location.
Whitfield County 911, what's the location of your emergency?
My name is Dale Bilbrey, and I am standing here in the middle of Cleveland Highway with a girl that's laying in the middle of the road.
On a Friday, May 8th, 2020, 26-year-old Carolina Vargas was found bleeding on a northern Georgia roadway. Emergency responders rushed her to a hospital where she managed to tell police she had been kidnapped. Gravely injured but alive, she later recorded a video from her hospital bed, describing the overwhelming fear of what had happened and the terror of thinking what might have come next.
I feel like emotionally worse than this. It's so hard. It's scary to think, where would I be? I'm trying to stay positive too, but it was so scary.
My name is Carolina Vargas, and I was abducted.
Against all odds, Carolina survived.
In 2020, I was living with my brother. I was applying for jobs and I wasn't getting calls.
So she relied on the only resources she had, her car, a driver's license, and time, and began driving for Uber to cover her expenses. Late one day, as she prepared to head home, she accepted a nearby pickup request. The passenger was an older man named Chris. Still grieving the recent loss of her grandfather, she felt an instinct to help elderly people.
It was like I had like a spirit in my heart of like, when I see older people, like help and do what you can to help.
He spoke about his family, his past as a firefighter, and his Christian faith, details that reassured her, given her own religious upbringing. After a short 3-minute ride to a Hertz rental location, Carolina updated her Uber account. Before she could leave, the man returned, explaining he couldn't secure a rental car. He asked her to drive him to Cleveland, Tennessee, proposing they do it outside the Uber app so he could pay her directly. They checked what Uber would normally charge, then agreed on a flat $300. He also suggested paying another $300 for a return ride once his truck in Nashville was repaired.
Number one, I needed the money. I really was in need of paying my rent, paying my bills. I did feel comfortable to provide that ride for him.
The trip, a little over 2 hours, ended uneventfully at a Hampton Inn. He paid her in cash, and as they parted ways, they exchanged numbers so he could reach her when his truck was ready. Over the next few days, Carolina waited for a message from her new customer. On Thursday, May 7th, he texted her that his truck would be ready the following day. They agreed she would pick him up around noon. On the morning of May 8th, Carolina showered and styled her hair in a tight bun, choosing her thickest sweatpants. No one expected her home at a specific time, and her absence wouldn't immediately raise alarms. It rained off and on as she drove the 2 hours from Nashville to Cleveland, Tennessee, to pick up the man at the Hampton Inn. When she arrived, he had 3 bags, 2 loaded into the trunk and 1 handbag he carried. Before leaving, he asked for a moment to smoke a cigarette, which she allowed. Carolina took a photo of him and sent it to her mother. During the drive, traffic slowed them down. The man suggested a shortcut to save time, and Carolina followed his directions and turned off the main road. At some point, she noticed her GPS showed they were adding time rather than saving it.
And he was like, oh yeah, but we're about to like cut into it. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was like I felt something in my heart, and we were quiet driving, but I still didn't feel fear.
Suddenly, without warning, he pulled a knife out.
And I was like, oh my God, why you're doing this?
Then the blade slid coldly to her neck. He commanded her to keep driving, promising to tell her where to turn, and insisted she maintain a steady speed. No slowing down, no speeding up. Despite her pleas, he ignored her and kept his cold grip on control. Watching the mirrors, Carolina saw his face change. Twisted now, pure evil. Panic flooded her mind. Thoughts raced. She might have to crash the car, hit another vehicle to escape. She scanned the road, no cars coming her way. She considered the risks. She wore a seatbelt, he did not. Her mind spun with desperate plans. Fight him for the knife, jump out, survive. She decided she would have to jump. At that moment, he demanded her phone.
I grabbed my phone, I unplugged it, and in that second, I jumped out of the car.
The car was moving close to 60 miles per hour. Her left leg was immediately run over by the rear tire. Her head, face, back, and limbs slammed into the wet concrete as she tumbled and skidded nearly 80 feet, a slow-motion nightmare. She passed out and didn't know how long she lay there. When she awoke, she felt the cold, wet pavement beneath her and realized with horror that it was real. She was alive, but injured and alone.
I woke up and I remember feeling the concrete of the street, and it was so wet. I was like, oh my God, this is real. I'm here. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
Miraculously, still clutching her phone, Carolina discovered her abductor and vehicle had gone. Her first act was to call her mother. Isabel answered, hearing only Carolina's crying and incomprehensible words.
My mom told me to call 911, and I hung up on her and I called 911.
Brickell County 911, what's the address to your emergency?
Carolina lay on the road, unable to speak and waving her hands desperately, hoping someone would stop. But no one did, until a couple driving by spotted her and stopped abruptly.
I said, look, and he seen her on the ground, and we stopped in the road. We didn't even pull over or nothing. We just stopped.
A man jumped out and rushed to her side. She was disoriented, panicked, soaked, and barefoot, her face bruised, teeth broken, and pants torn from hip to ankle. Through her tears, she kept pleading for help. They called 911.
My name is Dale Bilbrey, and I am standing here in the middle of Cleveland Highway with a girl that was laying in the middle of the road, like she was thrown out of a car or something.
In the meantime, they tried to calm her, assuring her she was safe despite the shock of what she'd endured. Within minutes, fire, police, and rescue units arrived. A deputy later described the scene as traumatic. Carolina was bloodied, missing teeth, and had been run over by her own SUV. Yet she remained remarkably coherent, recounting every detail and providing information about her attacker, who had fled with her car.
In my career, I've seen a lot, but the extent of her injuries and what had happened was very shocking. She was all bloodied, her teeth were missing, she had been ran over on her legs, just a traumatic scene, but she was very coherent.
Authorities praised Carolina for keeping her composure and having the presence of mind to hold onto her phone, which contained photos of the offender. Despite the harrowing ordeal, Carolina escaped without broken bones. However, her injuries were severe. Blunt force trauma and deep cuts covered her body, and a blood clot formed in her brain. She suffered major leg damage, internal bleeding, and the painful loss of at least 3 teeth, with fragments lodged in her gums. At the hospital, Carolina was reunited with her mother. Seeing her daughter alive felt like a second birth. It was because of that brave choice that they could now be together.
Thank you for jump out. Thank you. Because what you did is now we can be talking.
But despite the relief, Carolina was haunted by fear. Her captor was still at large, and he had her wallet with her address.
So my fear was like, this guy might go look for me and hurt my sisters, hurt my mom. I could not live with that, you know?
As Carolina recovered, police in Cohutta, Georgia, launched a search for her abductor. This kind of violent crime was almost unheard of in their town, and the shock was palpable. Investigators had a photo of the man and the phone number he used to text Carolina. Without knowing his name, police returned to the Hampton Inn in Cleveland, Tennessee, where Carolina had picked him up. Showing his photo to the front desk clerk, they quickly obtained his driver's license details and full identity. The man was Christopher Miller, a commercial truck driver living just minutes from the hotel. Why he stayed at a hotel instead of home remained a mystery. Police went to his house but found him gone, with no known whereabouts. They turned to the media for help in finding him.
Police tell us Christopher Miller is the suspect in this case.
As Carolina's story went viral, investigators obtained Christopher Miller's phone records and tracked him via GPS. After abandoning Carolina's car at a Target shopping center, Miller reportedly gathered supplies, firearms, and ammunition before heading south through familiar territory along his driver route. Investigators traced his phone to Florida, where 72 hours after the abduction, local law enforcement arrested him at a truck stop outside Jacksonville. He was charged with multiple felonies, including theft of a motor vehicle, kidnapping, hijacking, false imprisonment, and use of a knife during a felony.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to an attorney before we ask you any questions and to have an attorney present during questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you at no cost before any question begins. You understand those rights?
While still recovering, Carolina learned her abductor was in custody. Dark thoughts crossed her mind. She feared he intended to keep her captive, to control, use, or even kill her. Authorities were never able to determine Miller's true motive. Once in custody, he refused to answer any questions, choosing instead to stay completely silent and let his lawyer handle everything.
We never really got the true explanations to why he did what he did. So we don't know what the end result was going to be, but we do know that regardless, it wasn't going to be good.
While awaiting trial for abducting Carolina, Christopher Miller stopped taking his heart medication and died in jail. Carolina felt a mix of sadness and anger. She knew he had a family who may not have believed he was capable of such cruelty, but she also felt he had taken the easy way out. She hoped for some final sense of justice, but that chance was taken away.
I wanted that closure. I wanted to be able to testify in front of him and hear from a judge his punishment. And I didn't get to hear it.
The entire ordeal had changed Carolina's life completely. Her mother noticed how strong and well she had become since the attack. Carolina's cousin Natalia expressed relief that Carolina was safe, knowing the outcome could have been far worse. Everyone highlighted Carolina's courage in the face of everything she endured.
2 words, fighter and survivor. That's Carolina Vargas.
Today, Carolina works alongside her father in construction and remains physically active by going to the gym. She aims to feel stronger and prouder of herself. The experience shifted her perspective, leading to meaningful growth and a deeper understanding of her own strength.
I am for sure more aware because I've taken this as lesson to grow and to be a better Carolina for sure. Yeah.